What up, Shuds? Cobson here with another brand new video. Today we're going to talk about Kamala Harris's path to victory. As we see right here is a very generous to the Democrats battleground map. All the states in here have a non-zero chance of going to one candidate or the other. Everything else here is essentially guaranteed to go to either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. With that out of the way, I want to talk about Kamala. Now, if we were to go by how the polls are looking right now, Trump wins all of these critical races. And it looks something like this, where Kamala retains New Mexico, New Hampshire, and Nebraska's second. So this is what the forecast currently says. Something like this. But what if, she makes a comeback? How does she even win in the first place? So first she's going to need to lock down the places that she should really be winning. First of these swing districts, you could say, is New Mexico. She needs to really get a lot more she needs to really up her numbers with Latinos and with suburban whites, the latter of which she's doing decent enough with. As a result, obviously she needs New Mexico in order to become president, but this is looking good for her. Next up is Nebraska's second. This one I also have predicted she will most likely carry, but there is a chance that Trump wins. She needs to continue cozying up to the insurance companies, like kind of like the rest of the corporate Dems. She's gotta really do something for the insurance companies to keep this safe. But right now, yeah, Donald Trump's most likely not going to win this district. After that is New Hampshire. Now, this is a state that tends to be somewhat independent minded and is anti incumbent. That said, I don't think that Trump is going to be able to win the state simply because of how many people from Boston are moving in. So, for the sake of this analysis, we're going to keep this in Kamala's column. Now we give her all of the all the tilt Trump states. So that's Maine at large, Virginia, and Minnesota. She loses a single one of these three states, it's over. She loses New Mexico or New Hampshire, it's over. She then needs to get one of these states that are looking the best for Trump. And out of all of these ones that I haven't colored in yet, that's Wisconsin. This brings her to 236, which means she has to flip another state. Next one up is probably Arizona. Okay, she's at 247. You see, it's already very difficult. She's overperforming the model significantly here, and she's only at 247. She absolutely needs something more than this. She gets Michigan, 262. And by the way, this is a state Trump's up by like 5 in some polls. So, yeah, she needs Michigan to win. She absolutely needs she could win with Pennsylvania and Nevada. She could win with Michigan and oh no, she can't. She could win with Michigan and Pennsylvania. She could win with Georgia and North Carolina. And she could win with Pennsylvania and Georgia, or Pennsylvania and North Carolina, or even just wait, hold on. Can she win Michigan and Georgia? Yeah, or Michigan and Georgia. But this is looking highly unlikely. For her to be able to really win, she needs a candidate who can cover her weaknesses, a vice presidential candidate. If she picks Andy Bashir, that would be a good start. But I don't know how many people would be turned on enough by Andy Bashir to get beyond, Kamala's more off-putting character. The only group she really appeals to are only groups she really appeals to are college-educated white women and black women. That is not a coalition that can win you a presidential election. She needs a way to appeal to either um, Latinos down here, the squishy center right voters in these 3 states, working class whites up here, and independents up here. And that just doesn't look like a very that's an extremely heavy lift for her, for any candidate really, but especially for Kamala. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is JD Vance. This is essentially locked in Michigan. I doubt North Carolina was going to flip anyway. So now Kamala has lost Michigan and North Carolina. Trump's looking great in Nevada, great in Arizona. She needs to run the tables. She needs New Mexico. She needs Minnesota. She needs Wisconsin. Probably going to get Maine second and New Hampshire as well. She needs Maine at large. She needs Virginia. And she needs Pennsylvania and Georgia just to win with 271 electors. This math is really not looking good for Vice President Harris, especially because I doubt Georgia's flipping. I doubt Pennsylvania's flipping. Sorry. Obviously, Georgia, Pennsylvania flipping to Trump. You know what I mean. I doubt either one of those states are really going to Kamala, which means she's going to have to expand the map if she can't win with the current battleground. So the question is, where does she expand exactly? Is she going to magically outperform every single Republican since, like, I want to say Nixon in 1968 and win Kansas? Or she somehow picks up South Carolina or Mississippi like her campaign's been saying, or Florida? You see, the only remotely competitive states, all right, we'll give her, say, Montana, that she could win are highly unlikely. For one, Mississippi's voting for Trump by like 17. Kansas is safe. Montana's safe. South Carolina's safe. And Florida is safe. None of those states have shown any real elasticity, or at least enough elasticity to go to Kamala. Like, or Texas, you could say. She flips Texas, she wins the election and all she needs to carry are Maine, New Hampshire, Virginia, New Mexico, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Nebraska second. Flips Texas, that brings her to 276. Okay. How is she going to flip Texas? She needs to run up the margins down here. She needs to get even more voters out there in El Paso. And she needs to figure out a way to appeal to rural whites in Texas, of all places. Obviously, that is not going her way. So what does she do? It would be complete political suicide to just outright admit defeat and say, good game, Trump, you won, all that stuff. That would be suicide to say. So what does she do? This campaign is starting to look more and more like an inverted version of 2008. And the momentum just keeps piling up on Donald Trump's side. So for Kamala to win, she would probably need Shapiro to help her in Pennsylvania. And she'd somehow need to get enough Latinos in Arizona to stay with her. This brings her to 266, which means she needs working class whites in Michigan, She needs rural blacks in North Carolina and center right voters in Georgia, or or kind of libertarian minded voters in Nevada in order to win. And Nevada, this state's a lot of these states' polls are Trump plus 10. Like, this is barely even in the battleground this time around. This is a very, very likely Trump state. So the more I run the numbers, the harder and harder it becomes for Kamala to really win. So now, I guess if I were her, if I were the DNC, I would funnel as much money as possible into our down ballot candidates to avoid a complete and total wipeout. Because not a single state that Donald Trump has won has the Senate race voted Democrat simultaneously. Now, do I expect that to really happen this year? No. I mean, I have him predicting winning. I'm predicting Donald Trump winning Minnesota by a tilt margin, and I doubt Royce White is going to be able to even match Trump's performance in the first place. So the club's surviving. Bob Casey is political royalty in Pennsylvania, but if Trump wins Virginia, Tim Kaine, he's he's in a very insecure position. If Trump wins Maine, maybe he carries the Republican up with him too. Or if he wins Arizona, yet goodbye Ruben Gallego. Or if he's up so much in Nevada, yeah, like hell, Jackie Rosen's going to win. So if I'm a Democrat, I want to give tens of millions of dollars to Tammy Baldwin, Elisa Slotkin, Tim Kaine, Ruben Gallego, and Jackie Rosen, just so you can cut your losses in the Senate and remain somewhat competitive in these and be able to hold your own in these critical Senate seats that you absolutely cannot afford to lose. I think it's fair to say that Kamala Harris is probably the weakest candidate the Democrats could have put up. Because as unpopular as Joe Biden was, at least he had that tiny bit of appeal to working class whites in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania that might potentially allow him to eke out a victory in one of the three, if not all three. And Kamala just doesn't have that appeal. Well, you think auto workers are gonna vote for an elitist from California instead of the guy who's been pouring blood, sweat, and tears into appealing to them with his running mate? It's just not looking like it'll happen. But hey, we've seen weirder things. Kamala wins like this somehow. She flips Georgia, and she wins. She finishes it off with 271, or somehow she flips Arizona. Trump gets Georgia, and then she gets Nevada. It's 272. That's like the only way she could win. And this is like what I think is if she overperforms, this is what the map's going to look like. If polling errors are big, this is the 2024 election. Trump wins Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, lights out. 283 to 255. It's not exactly the blowout that we might have wanted, but it's still a Trump win. I don't know if there is really a shot for Kamala. Because unless she's able to flip North Carolina and keep Georgia in her column, because Trump's doing the best in Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, maybe, okay, she gets 287. That's not terrible. But what are the odds of that happening? North Carolina is a state that hasn't voted Democrat on the presidential level since Obama's landslide victory in 2008. Georgia in 2020 was an absolute fluke. Trump is polling exceptionally well in Arizona and even greater in Nevada. Plus, he's got a lot of support amongst white working class voters, union voters, say in the palm of the hand in Michigan. This is looking to be, and I guess my final verdict is Kamala can still win, but it is highly, highly unlikely. Now, if y'all enjoyed this analysis or have your own comments or criticisms of this video, feel free to comment, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and feel free to share it around. I'm always open to new ideas, but I find it incredibly difficult to sort of see how it gets any worse for Donald Trump than 283. Thank you all for watching, and have a great, great day.